I still sound good, but why is it that every 3 times I log into my computer, Discord and OBS are reset to not my audio inputs and exports that I've been using? I don't. It's every single. Maybe I should just stop Windows from updating, because it updated last night, and that must be it.
Maybe, but
But like, why? I mean, why is that?
If you're not if you're not testing it every day, it's hard to know what could happen in the intervening time. Anyway, I don't want to. The troubleshooting minute is not a minute anyone wants to listen to.
It's an episode 1 through 200 item, and now is no longer interesting to anyone. Man, I wish that my OBS had been recording my amazing songs and stuff that apparently Michael could hear the whole time, but I couldn't.
I mean, we could hear. Yeah, we typed in the Discord like, "Hey, we can hear you, man."
I don't get it. I'm like, how do you reading the Kindle?
Here's how it is, man.
And this other thing.
Start the recording. I'm gonna tell you how this is.
All right, okay, it's on.
Here's how that works. Okay, kids don't have a bunch of other useless information filling up their mind like we do. That's what it is. When I was a little kid, I could juggle 15 different things because I didn't know like the square root of 64 and how to do calculus.
You didn't know.
And now that I know those things, I can't juggle 5 books at a time.
Your brain
also be friends with 10 other kids who I've met twice a week. Like that's just not a thing anymore.
I can tell you the Newton meters required to torque down the bike seat that I got because that is now in my memory forever for some reason.
Right. Like I can tell you a whole bunch of stuff about like how I do my job and the things I work at, but like I can't tell you any of my coworkers' birthdays or like how anything like all my interpersonal relationships work. Like I don't who are these people that I meet? Like I don't know any of that stuff.
Memory is a zero-sum game, you guys.
I am
kids can use all of it on stuff like that, and we can't. That's why.
I think I'm starting to believe that maybe the brain is more like, like an NAND flash, and I've only got a certain amount of writes, and things are getting up there. You know what I mean?
Some of those sectors are bad now, man. It's just like you have one like really embarrassing moment in childhood. It just gets burned into that sector forever now. Now you can't get rid of that memory, even though it's useless and doesn't help you in any way. It's still stuck there. Sorry.
Yeah.
But of course, when you need to remember something, bad sector.
I've seen a lot of beer spilled on this circuit board is all I'm saying. Oh boy. Well, welcome to episode 322 of We Were Gamers. Since we're talking about bicycles, can we talk about bicycles?
Sure.
I'm bad at riding bicycles, so yes.
I loved hearing that anecdote when we saw you. I
thought this was known. I didn't know you didn't know.
I didn't know that you were bad at riding bicycles until it's amazing and fun. People, this is a suggestion to you, a We Were Gamers approved suggestion. Find out more stuff about your friends even after they've been your friends for like 20 years.
Yeah, see?
Just hang out, have conversations, and find out, I never learned how to ride a bike. And you'd be like, what?
So see, like that part isn't true. I learned how to ride a bike. I just then did it for like 3 years when I was a kid, and then never again until I was 30.
I don't know how that works out, but they say riding a bike is like riding a bike.
And in that I can technically do it, that's fine. But am I good or like, able to do gears or hills or things of those natures? Maybe no is the answer.
Well, maybe, friend, the electric bike is for you.
Okay.
I got an electric bike, and I gotta say, I love it.
Now, hold on. When you say got,
I absconded with one.
Did it fall off a truck? Or did you like purchase it?
Now?
Well, so I know some people who have gotten them through like not illegal means, but like
nefarious
government no, like completely legal means, but like it seems shady in that they like got them through a government program that doesn't feel like it was designed for them.
They knew a guy.
Huh. Okay. I purchased mine through a large multinational retailer.
Okay.
It is
I get
it
you.
is made by a reputable company with parts from themselves and another reputable company. I don't.
Okay.
I
So,
have been
how are you liking
reading
it?
a lot actually about garage fires recently. I don't know if you have noticed this, but many a house fire these days is no longer in the kitchen, it is actually in the garage. And what seems to be the largest culprit recently is actually e-bikes.
People leave the batteries plugged in too long and they explode.
Cheap e-bikes, like, oh, I got this e-bike at Costco for $110, and it's, made in a factory in another country that doesn't have any safety or quality control.
Like those hoverboards people were buying that were exploding and
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
Gee, it's like the same thing all over again, and the company's found a way to get back in the game. Yeah, most of the garage fires are batteries with thermal runaway that have been left plugged in for hours and hours and hours. Mine is made by a reputable company who contracted, we'll just say Panasonic, because they're one of the most known names in batteries. Not infallible. Samsung and Panasonic make batteries that do have problems. I don't know if you remember those Samsung, what were they, Galaxies that were like expanding and catching
Yeah,
on
those
fire?
were
Catching fire.
Yeah, those were bad.
I mean, they're not infallible, but at least the companies are responsible and come to the fore and deal with the problem, right? So that was a fear of mine. So I went to a big retailer and found one that was on sale, and I bought it. There's a lot of stuff to learn about e-bikes. I don't know how deep we want to go into it, but the classifications of e-bikes and how they run and what's an e-bike and what's a moped, and there's a crazy world out there about e-bikes that I learned a lot about, and it's real cool. And if people want to hear more about it, maybe they email and then I'll talk more about it. But
I mean, I want to just talk about it a little bit really quick here. Like, how far are you going and how much range could you get in theory?
well, so I decided on a class 1 bicycle, which essentially means it is a full-on bicycle. It is legally allowed in the United States everywhere a bicycle is allowed, including with it turned on and operational. And the only way that it can function is it assists you while you are pedaling. So the range is technically infinite because it is just a bicycle. But
Okay.
if you want economic pedal assist, so like the lowest grade of assistance that it can give you, it's something in the range of 50 to 60 miles.
What if the hill is really tall and I'm lazy?
You turn it up to aggressive mode, and then you probably get like 30 to 40 miles.
Okay, so 30 to 40 miles is what we're talking about here.
Yeah. And they, since it's from a real company, they actually have an app, and you can Bluetooth to the battery and change the response curves and make it even stronger.
Oh, cool.
Oh, nice. I like that.
And so then you have used it a non-zero number of times.
I
How
have.
are you liking it so far?
I have not had a bicycle. I think, Michael, you might remember my bike was like a BMX 20-inch bike.
Yeah, I remember.
You had dirt bikes, yeah.
I have, yeah, so I have like a BMX pedal bike, and I have dirt bikes and all that sort of stuff. And I actually looked into like class 3 e-bikes, which are basically mopeds. And I sat on one and I was like, this isn't a bicycle, it's a motorcycle. So I kind of backed away from those, especially because I tried all the bikes with the batteries turned off. And some of those are horrendous to ride without electronics turned on. But the previous experience I had with a bike was like something that was made for adults, but was small and made for like off-road racing and stuff like that. So that one went to the kidlet. And this is a much larger, bigger bike with long pedal stroke. I like it quite a bit. I have not ridden a bike like this in a while. It was very comfortable. It makes me want to ride a bicycle more now instead of before when I was like, I get really tired riding my bike.
Yeah, that's the being old part right there.
Yeah, but we're talking about things like, okay, well, the kids love riding their bike. And so we live not that far from a grocery store. Why don't we all ride over there? Why don't we ride up to like a Target or a this or a that, and throw stuff on the back, because mine came with like a little cargo rack installed on it, welded on there.
Okay. That sounds very similar to the one my wife's parents have that has like they do like, hey, they do an 11-mile bike ride today for whatever reason.
Yeah. I would imagine doing an 11-mile bike ride for me personally on this would be no problem. I'm going to send you the link so you can see the bike, but we don't have to talk about it.
This is how they describe it. It's like, no big deal. And I'm not clear like how much of it is pedaling and how much of it is not.
Yeah.
I then also know my wife's mother got injured on it. So, like a bicycle, you can still hurt yourself.
Oh, I'm sure
these are worse because they're heavier.
This one weighs about 50 pounds and it doesn't even have like a throttle. The motor is not very large because it's part of the pedal assembly instead of part of the hub in the back. It still clocks in at 50 pounds, but like 15 of that's the battery,
Right. Yeah. I want to say this looks, I've only seen, they have 2 different bikes each, like my wife's mom and dad each have different ones. And I want to say these look pretty similar to one of those. Not same brand, I don't think, but it's like the idea of it with the little slide battery and thing is similar.
I mean, they really have started to factor in the design of the battery, and it makes the shape of most of the bikes the same. I love that this came with front suspension. I've never had a bike. I've had a motorcycle, obviously, with suspension. That's different because you're pedaling and stuff. Like, usually you don't have suspension on a bicycle, and it really makes a difference in the front when you just like hit a little bump and no problem, whatever.
Cool. Yeah,
I highly recommend if people are in the market for a bike, find one that's in your price range, but consider an e-bike. It's been fun. It's changed my perspective on biking places with people. Ta-da! I don't know why did we get on this? Oh, because I talked about Newton meters. The point of this story, I don't know if you can find one of the pictures on this listing that I posted, but almost every screw on this bicycle, I've never seen this before in my life. Go to the one with the handlebars, like an up close one. Every single screw that is essential for taking weight or something like that has on it, next to it, a printed Newton meter. I've never seen that before in my life.
You know what this is about? I know why this is, I think. That could be wrong, but I think I know why. Hello?
I'm listening.
Okay. Yeah, I'm waiting.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't know if I cut out there. I was worried.
No. We were curious why you knew what it was about.
I think it's for maintenance, not for you, for technicians. When you take it to a bike shop, they're going to be like, I don't know how hard to torque this thing. And then they're just going to tighten it down a bunch and break it. And that happens. Over tightening stuff is a scourge in engineering. It's bad, actively bad.
Yeah. Well, I personally am a large fan of this because I have a set of torque wrenches in the garage that go from Newton meters all the way through like pounds.
And you just set it and it just does it, man. Yeah. It's cool.
It's beautiful. I'm really happy because I need to adjust some stuff. Like the handlebars came, but they're not perfectly straight and I want to straighten them. So I can just untorque those and torque them right back. And I know that I got it right.
And you're worried. And now, like, cause see me, I'm like, so if I adjust this and tighten it back down, am I going to worry if like this handlebar is going to like come loose while I'm doing a thing? And like, now I'm going to go, face over and crash and all this stuff because I loosened the handlebars or whatever.
Yeah. The point of this story, even though the e-bike is cool and I would talk about it more if people want to know more about it, because I did literal months of research on it. I down to like the tires that came with each bike that I considered. The coolest thing about it when I finally got it was like, whoa, there's Newton meters for every screw on this bicycle. It's like a dream for maintaining it yourself. I think everyone should have to do this for items that matter. Obviously, like your office chair doesn't need it. Just hand tighten it, whatever. but like knowing my seat post is not going to collapse is a great thing. And that I didn't over tighten it, like you said. We got to get off this. We got to talk about a zillion things today. I don't even know where to begin. So, do we do more Champions of the Continent so people can tune us out right away, or do we talk about the new? Do we talk about the new stuff? Let's talk about the new stuff. Michael,
the new stuff.
Yeah, Michael.
Yeah,
Michael.
What you got?
Oh god, I was trying to tie electric bicycles into. No, it's not going to work. Tell me about the Sandman.
You had a good opportunity. It was
Dang it.
Do you dream of electric bicycles?
I was working on that one.
Dang.
I was
I'm in
trying
awe of that transition.
I was
That's
trying
like-
to do let's see, because the whole thing is do androids dream of electric sheep, and I was
Right.
trying to figure out how to does the Sandman dream of electric bicycles, but it didn't feel like it worked because the Sandman's really not that type of thing. Having read only the first of 5 large trades of the Sandman, I'm not an expert, but I do know he's not that into electronics.
No, he's kind of an old school guy.
Yeah, a little bit, huh?
About as old as it gets.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, we started watching the first couple episodes of the new Sandman adaptation on Netflix, and it is really well done.
Have you read the story before? Or JJ, have you read the story before?
So I own the full story in like 10 or 11 editions.
Okay,
so not
so you got
not the real big editions, but the smaller ones.
You got the thin trades. Yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
So have you read them?
Yes, yeah. So I've had them for a while.
Okay. I have known about this story for like a million years, and it was always like, oh, if there's like a good edition of this that comes out in the future, I will definitely get it.
JJ, your dream has come true.
Never done that.
Your and my dream have come true. There is a new edition that has come out in 5 volumes, and even retail wise, they're not that expensive. And you can probably get them cheaper.
I've seen it. They're very nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it might be time for both of us to commit.
Just look at
Amazon.com.
Add to cart.
Okay, so a faithful, not faithful.
So
there's a chance I watch this, so I would prefer not to be spoiled.
Non-spoilerish.
I will do non-spoilery. I listened to an interview with Neil Gaiman, who is the creator of Sandman. He penned all of the originals back in the day, and it's an interesting blend of direct story from the comics with stories that either they, at the time they couldn't tell, or they're leveraging the medium of being on television to expand on a story that got less time in the comics. So it's a blend of different stories, and the amount that they draw on the comics varies from episode to episode.
Huh. Did he help pen the news stories?
He did. He was directly involved with writing the show.
Well, that's
okay. That
enough
was
for
going to be
me.
my next question.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. And he actually he fought. This was part of the interview, and I found it interesting. Several decades ago now, he fought the original pitch to turn it into a movie. I think that Warner Brothers had bought the rights and wanted to make it into a movie, and so he went into his like first meeting with the studio, and he asked them, "Can we not make this?"
Oh,
because they were still trying to get the whole series hadn't been finished yet, and he was still trying to get the comic and the community around the comic off the ground. And he felt that turning it into a movie that soon would have undercut that effort.
you get a little bit of a Constantine problem.
So yeah, over the years there were several different attempts to make it, and he was kind of opposed to all of them until the time and the studio were all in alignment.
Is this the guy, and I don't remember, who has famously been like, my stuff is unfilmable and I write it that way intentionally?
No, because several of his books have been made into TV shows or movies.
Okay. American Gods is his stuff
American
also,
Gods is also
American Gods,
show already.
Yes. Coraline is his.
Swamp.
They're
there
making
hasn't been a
Anansi Boys.
Oh yeah, there hasn't been a Swamp Thing adaptation, as far as I know. Right?
There have been really
he's
old movies of Swamp Thing, right? Like
No, I know, but
the 80s?
his I don't want to
like
be
his
too,
version of it or something.
So
Yeah.
I don't want to be too strong in saying that it launched him into fame, but he adapted, he re-brought out Swamp. I don't know if you remember Kevin Smith relaunching Green Arrow and how that really reinvigorated the character.
I do know. I have that trade over here.
Okay, so they went to Neil Gaiman and said, "Hey, Swamp Thing's kind of a joke. Can you write a Swamp Thing book?" And he goes, "That's a cool challenge. Sure, I'll write it with gosh, what's his name? Jamie something. I don't remember his name. I'm not very good at this stuff. People they're out there that know comics better than me, go for it. I just know like the tertiary, top level stuff, and then I have all of the Gaiman Swamp Thing stuff because it is really redefines Swamp Thing as a person and not just a monster for the WB Monsterverse, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it kind of ended Swamp Thing as a separate character, but it also made him into like a respectable part of the DC franchises. I don't know how to say that. Anyway,
Jamie Delano is who you're after.
Oh, Jamie Delano. There you go. There you go. Yeah, he's like a Doctor Who guy. Jamie Delano, I'm pretty sure. And I'm trying to remember stuff off the top of my head. That's a bad sign. Don't let me do it. Move on to something else. Yeah.
But yeah, so
comics are cool.
I would
Hellblazer.
definitely
Jamie
recommend-
Delano's Hellblazer. John, we talked
Yes,
about
you are
Constantine. This is why things stick in my head. Right? We talked about Constantine. I made a Constantine joke, and then my head goes, you should talk about Swamp Thing because of that Jamie guy. And then the Jamie guy is connected because of Constantine. It all comes full circle. All you got to do is wait. I'll get there eventually.
That e-bike is climbing up the hill.
It's forever. Sisyphusing.
Running up that hill.
Yeah. Oh, hey, nice. Yeah, we're talking about Netflix. There you go. See? Good joke. I got it. I got stung by a yellow jacket, you guys.
That sucks.
Yeah, that's just an aside. JJ Comics. We're talking about.
Yeah, talking about comics.
You like that transition?
Yes, great. Yeah. I did not get stung by a yellow jacket, but I did read a comic book. We Comic-Con passed recently, and I typically like to during Comic-Con see if there's like some random trades of something that are interesting to me. And in the past several years, or the past several Comic-Cons, I had gravitated towards like classic Batman story arcs that I had never read. Mm-hmm. Long Halloween, Batman Year One, like some of these like old and famous ones.
Yeah,
Year One's not that old, but it is famous.
Another one that is older, but also famous, is The Dark Knight Returns.
Oh, and buddy, welcome to Frank
I had
Miller.
Never read that. Yeah, and so I read The Dark Knight Returns.
I would like to point this out. This book is important enough that I took a college course on it. I'm not joking you.
I believe you. It has the fact that it has, I mean, this is some anniversary edition or whatever, because it's been however many millions of years since this was printed.
I was born the year it came out, 1986.
Yeah, I was going to say it came out in the 80s very clearly.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so interesting to see the imagination of the future at that time and like what they thought it was going to be like.
Sure.
Because like,
Well, hold on.
No.
What Frank Miller thought it would be like is not
sure. Be clear who we're talking about.
Take RoboCop and times 10 the tragedy.
You know, Batman, who is basically a giant slab of beef to get punched throughout the entire, thing. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of what it is. Similar in some ways to Year One, but you can tell in Batman Year One, he had definitely refined his writing a little bit.
Well, he goes from this Batman Dark Knight Returns to Dark Knight Strikes Again in like the 2000s. And you really see the jump start to happen there. And then 2000, I was in college I think it was in college that Batman Year One came out, because I remember seeing it in a comic book store. So it's probably around 2006 or so. I'm not going to look it up.
So anyway, all of this is to say that that's a fun storyline, but it's tough. So it is a good read, whether it doesn't make you happy or like you're having a great time reading it.
Yeah.
In that you can appreciate stuff that is good and good for a time separately from whether it brings you like you're like, oh heck yeah, man, this is great. Like, I really had a good time reading it. I haven't read a comic book in probably a couple of years there. And yeah, that was nice. I
think that
it is funny,
part of the
though,
story for people that missed our reviews of the horrendous Zack Snyder film, Batman versus Superman, or whatever it was.
BVS DOJ EU.
Yeah. Part of the aesthetics for that film come from this, where Batman tries to create the metal suit and fight Superman.
Yep.
A lot of that comes from this.
He fights Superman in this, like, spoiler alert, for a 40-year-old book, whatever. And like, I think the thing that isn't conveyed, and like the thing that Zack Snyder got wrong about this book, or that maybe popular imagination gets wrong about it, is like, yeah, it's very like gritty, and it's like Frank Miller's all tough, and it's like the crime is real and it hurts, and like Batman is sad, and like, yeah, but like it's not portrayed as like good necessarily.
No,
like Batman's kind of a psychopath in this, and like everyone is kind of like, dude, this is messed up.
I think we should talk about this. This is something that came up in that class, and something I started to realize about Frank Miller. I don't necessarily like Frank Miller. I think a lot of it is childish and not sometimes well written and kind of silly. And the twists that he puts in stuff would make no sense and aren't needed. But Frank Miller has an amazing capacity to show you something in its most farcical and make it seem serious and cool. And just like, oh man,
bro, Batman at some point in this comic book, Batman rides a horse, and it is an amazing comic book panel where you see Batman on a horse.
Yep.
And you're like,
this is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
So cool. And then you think about it for 10 seconds and you're like, this is moronic.
Yeah. Miller will take things directly to the edge. I mean, in this comic book, he what does he do? He paralyzes the Joker, I think.
Dude, Batman murders the Joker.
No, he doesn't murder the Joker. Joker breaks his own neck.
Oh, right. Yeah. Batman paralyzes him, and then the Joker, while Batman's hands are on him, like,
so that
forcibly
Joker
twists himself to kill himself.
And like, Frank Miller has an ability to take properties like this and really turn them on their head in surprisingly reflective ways, even though what you see on the panel is sometimes so ridiculous it feels like a joke. And so I don't know if I like Frank Miller or not. I've read almost everything he's written. I'm not sure I've read Dark Knight 3. I can't remember.
I haven't read. So I've read now this one, and I've read Year One. I haven't read either of the others.
I mean, I've read all of Sin City.
I know
don't
Sin
need to
City
list
through the
all of his
movies,
work.
and I think I'm not gonna. Is my take on that one.
So what's funny about Sin City the movies is that it takes from the 3 best Frank Miller comics and makes an okay-ish movie out of them, and the other comics are like meh, you know.
Yeah.
But the 3 comics it takes from are actually better than the movie. So I don't know. You know, I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, I didn't mean to turn this into a discussion about Frank Miller, but
I mean, that leads to Robert Rodriguez, and then we got to talk about all sorts of stuff.
Sure. And it has been nice going historically back through some of these older Batman novels.
What is cool?
And
I mean, we were talking about Neil Gaiman, and you put Neil Gaiman and Frank Miller against each other, and they are maybe the most polar opposite comic book writers you can think of.
I don't have a lot of Neil Gaiman stuff, but I know he's definitely. I feel like Frank Miller is terse and likes to show things. And am I wrong to say that Neil Gaiman will talk more?
Oh, I mean, he is definitely he's a lover of the word, of the written word. But his prose is enchanting when he wants it to be.
Yeah, I don't remember him, and again, I haven't read most of his things, but I don't remember him being up to the level of some people who are just novelists, like Alan Moore and some of those people who just write a bunch of books and then they fit art in the corner, you know? I do remember
sitting here thinking about
words.
Alan Moore. I was like, how does Alan Moore fit in this discussion?
I mean, I've read some, I like Alan Moore's stuff too, but the man can write a novel. Just write a novel, man. You don't need the art here. It's not, I mean, it is cool, and I do like it in some of the ones he's written. Some of them are kind of weird. He's a weird guy. I'm not here to defend Alan Moore. But
he's not. There's not every screw in that cage.
Yeah, but I feel like Neil Gaiman is not quite that bad. There's some beautiful art in his books as well.
For sure.
The medium of comics sort of needs a balance there. Otherwise, you're just writing books, and nothing wrong against writing books. Hey, write a book if you want to write a book, right?
Yeah. No, the medium. We've had this discussion before. A good friend of the podcast and of mine, Ken Dixon, has put forward some good ideas about what makes a good comic and really sparked some discussion about art versus words and where the balance lies. And he has a very strong opinion that it's art over words, but I think that it's a very cool discussion to have long term. If you are into comics, ask your friends which type of comic you like better, one that focuses on art or one that focuses on words. Because I think of a Frank Miller, and the spiritual successor to him that makes stuff that I like would be a Jock instead. And I think of an Alan Moore and spiritual successors to him like John Jackson Miller and a couple other people. And I love both ends of those spectrums, and I don't know which one makes a comic that appeals to people more. And it's kind of fun little brain project. If you guys like comics, you should talk to your friends about, God. Okay, so we talked about Frank Miller, and then we talked about the horrible Batman versus Superman that stole aesthetics from it and didn't decide that the story was a farce and that it should pay attention to that fact. And unfortunately, a really good actor who we like on this show for playing The Witcher is Superman in that movie. Henry Cavill. That's the longest transition of my life right there. Henry Cavill is a super cool dude. I think, God, I hope I don't have to eat those words someday because famous people always screw it up. But he seems like a cool dude. And he likes playing computer games and painting Warhammer miniatures, which is why I'm pretty confident in saying he seems like a pretty cool dude. And he grows a crappy beard like me. I sent you guys a picture.
Is, Henry, if you're out there and would like to join us on the show.
Oh, yeah. Well, if Henry wants to join us on the show, I got to ask him about this PC setup that he built. I sent you guys the picture. First of all, the man is using Noctua fans. And for those that remember component class on this show, I use Noctua fans. So we're instant best friends. However, in this photograph, I want you all to look at, he's got 2 sticks of RAM, which is cool. They look like they're separated correctly into the B slots or A slots or whatever that computer uses. He's got intake fans. He's got really cool. Michael and I get to be best buds with him. He's got a fractal case behind him in this picture. He said he had to build a new computer because he kind of burned out the other one. He's got his radiator pump mounted correctly with the cords coming out the side. And then it's mounted to a 360 radiator on the top. Can y'all see what my question to you is going to be? I'm going to play the Wheel of Fortune music right here.
What am I looking at? I'm guessing from the only other thing in the picture is the video card.
Not a video card problem. JJ? Although, interestingly, the fans are pointed up. I don't know how that's possible, but maybe he's got a cool backwards mounted board. I don't know. JJ, guesses before I answer this?
No, I don't have any guesses.
No?
Sorry.
All right, look at that 360 degree 360 millimeter radiator. Where are the fans? Yeah. The fans are on the top side of the case.
Oh, interesting.
So are they pushing air through into the hot air through into the case? Or are they trying to pull air out of that radiator out of the case? I assume out.
You would assume so. You wouldn't put fans on the top to try and force air in and out some other direction. That just
right, unless those front fans are exhaust, but that wouldn't make any sense to blow hot air down onto the video card, which with this picture, you'd be blowing air from the video card up into those fans. I don't know. Maybe you two know. Does this work trying to exhaust your radiator from the top? Because I have my fans mounted underneath, radiator mounted to the top, and fans blowing through it out.
Well, airflow through a fan is the same on one side of it versus the other. You have to pull in the same amount of air that you're pushing out the other side.
This is why I'm asking the engineers a question.
So having them on the top side probably pulls in almost as much heat as having them on the bottom side and blowing it out through the top. Like, you'll lose a little bit through that gap in the sides, but that you'd lose that anyway, even with the fans on the bottom.
You would, with your knowledge of aerodynamics, expect this to be equally as effective as blowing air through it.
I mean, air has to go somewhere, right? The question is if you're doing positive pressure or negative pressure. And so this applies negative pressure to the case, right? It's pulling the air out.
Okay.
And if the other ones are pushing it in from the front, then, I mean, you got to get to zero, right? And so like that is probably okay.
Assuming the fans would be the same distance from the radiator if they were mounted on the other side, then it should be the same.
So the fans are mounted to the radiator either way, right? These fans are on the radiator. And so assuming that Henry is a cool dude and these are exhaust fans, because that's the way this should work, right? Heat should go up and out instead of being pushed down through the radiator. Then...
So, I mean, you could also push the cool air outside the case down through the radiator and then like out the back of the case, for instance.
Well, then that would only be one 120 mil fan. I looked up this case. That would be a 120 mil fan.
So
that wouldn't work.
And then in this case, you're running positive pressure, right? Where you're pushing air in from multiple directions and then it's forced out the back due to the incoming pressure differentials.
So you'd be over producing air and your fan in the back would just sort of be there. It wouldn't really be doing much because you'd actually be using pressure to push the air out instead of the fan.
I guess I don't. Then there's a whole bunch of other questions of like, you know, like what is the air tightness of this, and are these fans powerful enough to actually do that?
I have personally not seen this setup before, and thought I would ask two engineers whether or not it would work at all. And so there's our answer, right? There's component class for the day. Thank you, Henry Cavill, for component class. All right, it's time for people to leave us, because we're going to talk about more Champions of the Continent. I don't think Henry plays Champions of the Continent. You know what?
Let's go.
Do you think he plays the Witcher games? He probably does.
I'm sure he does.
I think
I'm sure he was playing
of him playing it. Yeah.
Well, I know
on the
he's
internet.
read the novels. I assume he's played the game.
I'm sure he's played the game. He played at least one of the games long before the show was even an idea.
There's video of him playing The Witcher 3 on the internet. I'm pretty sure.
I love that. All right, guys. Speaking of video games, Champions of the Continent, Octopath Traveler. This game does not support controllers.
Okay.
I think, however, it makes the game better.
That it doesn't?
Yes. Because it requires then that the producers of this game consider it only as a mobile game and don't try to put stuff in there and be like, well, if you have a controller connected, it'll work out fine.
I mean, in my experience, the swiping and stuff has been perfectly fine.
100%.
Yes.
And
But I think...
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think kind of what you're getting at, Andy, is to contrast it with those games that do have a controller mentality when they're being designed or ported for mobile, and just have like the overlay of the buttons on either side of the image on the screen.
Horrible.
Yeah, I've never been a fan of that.
This game, thinking down to things like touch the mini map and tap where you want to go, and a real looking game will just move you there, is a pretty genius idea. I'm surprised at Square for trying this hard. I'm impressed. The game is fun. The combat, not so hard, considering that if you do the find a Kate feature, you'll be over leveled instantaneously.
Mm-hmm.
I finished the marvelous first chapter.
Okay, so this is going to be my question. What?
Yeah, how far are you?
Yeah, so I went into the first dungeon. I fought a bunch of thespians.
Mm-hmm.
I got the first bit of Mr. Auguste Sama's story. I really like that the story is segmented into tiny compartments, even though it doesn't feel like it. I mean, watching some of these videos, they're like 10 minutes long of like people talking to each other. It's like, really, jeez, guys, break it up. This dude and that dude really don't like each other. I get it. But hey, it's a game with full story, and that's what's going to happen. I get it. After I finished that chapter, the game opened up quite a bit. I now have many, 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 many exclamation points all over my screen.
Yes.
1, how do I tell which traveler's story these things on my screen are? Do I just talk to the people?
Yeah, you can just... If you can talk to the person when you see the icon over their head, and it'll pop up the little description card for who they are and what their quest is.
And don't tell me which traveler, because I don't want to do every traveler's story. I just want the like 5-star ones of the people that I'm going to care about long term.
You may eventually decide you want to do them because DAT currency.
Oh,
Well,
so that was going to be my next question, but go ahead, Michael.
You should definitely at least do the prologue of as many stories as you have access to, because unlike completing the other 3 parts of the story, completing the prologue gives you points in whatever of the 3 alignments that character is tied to. So you get power, wealth, or fame.
Oh, and you need that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But more important than that, although I don't think you get... Do you get rubies for the prologue? You get rubies for the other parts, I know.
Okay.
You might get rubies for the prologue.
It's not many rubies, to be clear.
Sure.
So if you're talking about like prioritizing quests, I think what you should do is, if you haven't, do the Nameless Town stuff.
Which is what, doing more story until Nameless Town comes up?
Yeah, you're gonna have to do a little more story.
Of
Okay.
August Sama?
All three, I think, to be able to get to the point in Nameless Town that really helps boost your progress, you'll have to proceed beyond the three-way split in the story.
So, but there are some parts of the Nameless Town you can start early.
Yes.
And I don't know which ones of those you have, Andrew, but you may want to do those.
I don't know how to find out. I mean, I've got my game open. You tell me what to look for.
In your quest
go
list. Oh, yeah, Michael, you got it.
Yeah, I was going to say, go into your quest list, and you should see there are three different kind. Well, you can sort by the three options on the left-hand side.
Oh, I see. I've got Master of Fame, Master of Wealth, Master of Power, Nameless Town, Seen in a Dream.
There you go. So the Nameless Town stuff, I think, always shows up under the side story tab if you filter it out. But it's got its own icon, which I think is just a single ring around an exclamation point.
Yep. That's side quest. Yep.
Yeah. So do those side quest ones for the Nameless Town first.
How do I find out if I hit a block in that, what I have to do next?
You won't have more of them.
Yes. The side quests will stop.
This game auto finds quests for you if they're available.
And it just puts it in this list, huh?
Yes, it does. That is correct, JJ.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah. So you don't have to go searching around for which person to talk to. Just follow the thing to the place.
Oh, okay. I love that. I am falling for this game very quickly. I didn't like when I was in the middle of chapter 1 that I couldn't for 2 or 3 days back out and go to the smithy and turn in all my stuff, because I can't play this game very quickly. I play it at night before bed, or like for 15 minutes while I'm waiting for something. I mean, it's not something that I get a ton of time to play, which is why I sit here asking you questions 3 weeks after you guys are way, way, way ahead of me.
So there are some points in all of those, in every chapter at least that I've come across, where you can just like not do it and go do something else.
Yeah, I just don't know how to, like, I'm in the middle of this dungeon. How do I back out of it, you know?
I think you just hit the world map and just go.
Oh, I didn't know that was an option.
Yeah, you can fast travel to anything on the world map that isn't one of those 2-color diamonds.
Where's the world map?
It's in your menu at the bottom.
I don't have that option. Do I have to, like, go outside the town to see it first? I don't.
Huh,
so it does get, the world map does get unlocked at some point.
I haven't unlocked it yet.
Is it possible he hasn't unlocked it? I thought it happens like
no, because I thought it happened at the very latest. I thought it happened after you finish chapter 1 of whichever story you start.
Well, I unlocked chapter 1 of my story, and I didn't get the unlock for unlocking chapter 1 of my story either. Because, like, if you
wait, you didn't finish it then?
Oh no, I did. Now it has unlocked. I don't know. It didn't unlock yesterday, but now it says accept on the. On the
so your menu across the bottom. Do you have 5 icons or 6?
1 guide, influence, feats, or
no.
Wrong menu.
Back
Wrong
out
menu. Go up
to
one.
the top level menu.
Menu, party quest, memoir, find, hint.
Okay. He doesn't have it.
Yeah, you have an
world map should be right there.
Well, there you go. I don't have a world map yet. I did, however, get access to memoirs. How much time should I spend in there? Obviously, I think the point you're making is Nameless Town only from now on until I get Nameless Town unlocked. I get that. Beyond that, if I run out of Nameless Town or stuff, what do I focus on next?
So you want to keep pushing actually a little bit beyond just opening up the extra parts of Nameless Town until you unlock hunts.
So
don't unlock Nameless Town, unlock hunts.
No, continue
those
to
are the
unlock
same
Nameless
thing.
Town, and you have to progress the main story to do that. But you will reach a point where you have unlocked all of the things that you can for Nameless Town, but you want to keep progressing the main story.
Main
quickly.
story being the chapter that I've chosen to start for Fame. I just continue
chapters
to do Fame.
Chapters 1, 2, and 3 of Fame, Wealth, and Power. Do all of them.
Oh, all 3 of each, not just all 3 of one.
Yes.
Yes.
You can choose to go forward in your one or sideways to do the other ones. I don't think it matters.
No, but I think it goes, if you go on rather than across, I think it gets hard, it gets more difficult quickly.
Yeah, the levels when you click on your quest menu, Andrew, you may see some
quests. Got it.
Some rec lev there.
Rec lev 14. I'm currently 30.
Yeah, so again, not going to be too difficult, probably. But going up chapters, the numbers go up faster than going sideways.
Yeah.
Yes.
What levels you guys sitting at these days?
It's a great question.
My party right now is mostly around 58 with one character up at 60.
I have most people at 40, 41 at 43, and one at 36.
Everyone in my party's 29.
I will say to you, Andrew, especially since 29 sounds like a number that's almost 30, you got any of those nuts lying around?
I got a lot.
Just find your favorite person, just dump all the nuts on them.
Why is that?
You get those levels, man.
Whisper the answer.
So part of it has to do with Kate's. JJ, if you have the ability, I would get that level 46 up to a 51.
Yeah, so I've used all the nuts and can't do that.
Oh, so I shouldn't save any for like future 5 stars or anything?
So
yeah, go ahead.
You will, I don't know how much you want to know about the nameless town, but you will unlock a way to get more.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think they become not plentiful, but at least available much more.
They become a daily drop for you.
There's also the daily drop of doing the Kate treasures that in general it kind of works with.
Yeah, yes. And you get those there. You also get money there. Sometimes you get rubies if you're really lucky. Yeah. So, but the levels, Andrew, for the Kates, the automatic guaranteed Kates that you get, because there's also apparently ones you can encounter randomly in the wild. Those levels for those Kates are based on the single highest level of any character you have.
Okay.
And those Kates get way, way, way better when you hit certain breakpoints.
That they do. And I've heard that that high level character doesn't have to be in your party.
Why do Kates only take 1 damage even after they're broken?
It's a mechanic that forces you to have characters with multi-hit skills.
Yes.
Now, that particular mechanic doesn't matter when you get these free ones for watching the ads.
Because they can't run away, yeah.
Because they can't run away. But when you fight them in the wild, it will, because if you don't have characters that can hit multiple times, the Kate will just leave.
Very high chance to flee.
I feel real bad because I keep getting letters from a Kate and he gives me rubies.
Yeah.
And that's a Kate scholar. These are not scholars.
I'm beating up his friends and they're carrying books around.
I feel like most of them are just carrying bags of gems.
Oh, is that what's going on?
I don't know. Maybe they're bags of books. I'm not looking in the bag.
Man, I didn't want to like this game. I wanted to play it for a few weeks and then quit. Because it's a gacha game. Mm-hmm. But it's a gacha game that I literally am now at the point I have 792 rubies and I'm like, I don't need to pull any characters. I guess I'll just save these.
Yeah, I'm sitting on north of 2,000 at this point and feel no need to use them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in the 1,000 range somewhere. And I think, Andrew, I'm very curious to see how you feel about it when you get farther in some of these stories. Very curious.
What? Oh, you don't think that I'll like it?
I don't know. I have no idea how you're going to feel about it.
Oh.
How far are you, JJ, for comparison?
So I have completed all of Auguste Sama's story. So
is it marvelous?
Finished chapter
marvelous.
3. Well, he would certainly say that it is, I'm sure.
I love the metered ability to be like, okay, chapter 1, I kind of get what's going on, but nothing is resolved. It was that was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Andrew, and let me tell you, when you start chapter 2, starts with a recap so you remember what happened.
Well, I
Nice.
assume because in JP, they're just porting that over and there was a while in between.
In some cases, yes.
So I think it's a great, but it's great for me who played that chapter a week ago and forgot what had happened in this storyline because I was dealing with other ones. So I finished that entire storyline and I finished the wealth storyline completely.
Okay.
And I'm in the third chapter of what's the third one?
Power.
Yeah,
The
I'm in there.
Tito's.
I'm in there somewhere.
That's the one that I have the lowest influence in, but I still beat up the people in this town, trying to get them to give me stuff.
The contend path action.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
But man, wow. We'll have a discussion about the story when Andrew has seen more of it because I think there are things to talk about.
All right, fine. I'll hurry up. But
take your time, man. That's the fun.
Should I do memoirs? Should I just leave them for later? What's the memoir situation for real quick?
So the only thing about those is that you get rubies for them. They don't really advance the story. They're mostly just fun little anecdotal fluff.
It's
Read
flavor,
this fluff and
yeah.
get rubies.
Yep.
And you can skip through it too. If you long press on the screen, it'll just skip over the whole thing and you can go back and read it later if you just want the rubies.
They absolutely tell you that up front. Hey, just hold down the screen. A little bar will appear. When the bar fills up, it skips the entire thing and you just get the rubies at the end.
You know, the
So
one
if
thing
you-
I don't like about the game is being dictated to by a cat that changes words, and then I have to go back and read and figure out what the heck they were trying to say because they catified a word and I didn't understand it. That's my only complaint about the game. That's not a big complaint, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. I hear you. I have trouble reading the meowified words sometimes.
There's some free to play stuff going on. The find feature is not friendly, but it might be a dang near perfect mobile game.
I mean, I am enjoying this for what it is, which is a game that I log in once a day and do these little dailies really quick. And I try to do maybe one chapter a day or part of one chapter a day when I have time.
Yep, that's what I mean.
Yeah. It's nice little, snack size bites.
I will tell you, and maybe this will lead some more discussion here. I lost a battle recently.
No.
Okay.
How'd you do that?
One of the final bosses of one of the chapters.
That was the first that was the first fight that I lost too.
Has not just abilities and weaknesses and stuff. He does stuff, and you need to do things in response to those things. And I was not diligent about that, and also had come into the fight with not all my characters filled up HP and MP wise.
Okay.
That was a mistake, I'll say. And let me tell you what happens when you die, in case you didn't know.
I don't know.
It kicks you back to the last inn or whatever you rested at, in or a nearby town or whatever. And let me tell you that means then you have to run all the way back through that dungeon. That's a bummer.
Yeah, but the lamp has reset when you do. And when you see one of those lamps that restores your HP and SP, use it because you know that a boss fight is coming up.
So I saw one
Yep.
and I was like, nah, because I'm level 30 and this story is level 10. But it makes sense, and that's a cool feature.
And so I was level 38 or something, and the boss was in their 20s.
And you
And
lost.
that was not enough.
Wow.
That was not enough.
Wow.
Yeah.
Also,
the
to be
mechanics
fair-
will get you.
Yeah, to be fair, the mechanics really were what getting me. And to be fair, my party did not have many of the weaknesses the boss had. And that
okay.
turns out to be a bad combination of things when you need to do certain things in order to prevent, say, people from just dying or whatever.
Yeah, I
So,
have a
yeah,
feeling
rough.
later on, if you're getting close to the level caps, that you actually need to start paying attention to how to break people and the right timing for it.
Definitely.
And probably also like making sure you know in advance, okay, this boss is this and this and this, and I need to bring people who can do those things and do them a lot and quickly, kind of.
Yeah,
a thing.
but leveling people, I don't know how you level like 8 more people, right? Like I don't currently have a knife guy in my party.
So I think the way you do that is, well, one of the ways you could do it is go get one of those Kates and bring a party of level 1 dudes to the Kate. You know?
Yep.
Because the Kate will never run away, and the level of the Kate is based on your highest level person, even if they're not in the party.
Okay.
And so now you're getting 10,000 or 50,000 or 100,000 XP for your level 1 dudes, and that'll just bring them up to whatever.
So
max,
eventually
probably.
you should start making parties of your level 1s and taking them to the find a Kate fights.
Yeah, because you'll eventually reach the point where you're hitting level caps on some of your everyday use characters.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And you probably won't have all the materials you need to break the caps and get your characters up, many, many more levels. At which point, then, hey.
Yep. Need to do something.
All right. If you've tried out this game, Octopath Traveler Champions of the Continent, let us know. I mean, we're not advertising for it. It's literally just a game that, like I think JJ said last time, took the group by storm. I don't know how to not like it. It's well done. Where'd you email that? Tell us about it.
You can send that to podcast@weweregamers.com. We will read these and also talk. You want to hear more about e-bikes from Andrew? Write that in. We'll talk about more about
I'd
e-bikes.
talk about it. I would. I really would. If people were like, so how did you decide? I'd be like, okay, cool. 25 minutes. Here we go.
Yeah. So send those to podcast@weweregamers.com or find us on social media @weweregamers on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and all those sorts of nice places. And we're on those places. Subscribe, hit that little bell to find out when our sweet videos go up. And they have been sweet recently, to be clear. People should check them out if they have not.
We're working on it.